Good morning and welcome to America's Home Cooking. I'm making one of my favorite dishes, which is creamed corned beef, and I'm going to put it over biscuits. I love this recipe. I always will. I never make it enough. And I'm going to make it today because it's what I really, really want. I'm always trying to make it. I never really get around to it as much. We used to be able to buy it and it was only like $2 in the jar, but now it's like $7, $8, so I pay a lot for it now. So this, I'm going to use buttermilk, but I am going to take my sponge culture, which is growing like crazy, and I'm going to split the buttermilk, how much milk they want to put in it. I am going to split it in half and put it with this sourdough culture, my sponge culture, with buttermilk, and see how they come out. I'm sure they'll come out beautifully. It'll give me that tangy flavor to go with the chipped beef that I love in a cream sauce. And I did not get everything out. I don't believe I didn't do that again. Oh well, that's me. At least you know it's me. I'm always forgetting something. I start reading these recipes and I think I get everything out, and then I have to go and say, no, you forgot something else. And I'm glad to the person who said, thank you. I've always wanted to learn how to make my own dark brown sugar. I'll make some light, I got a lot of light brown, but I'll make light brown so you can learn how to make that one, and then you won't have to buy it anymore. We're going to need 2 cups of flour. Yeah, and I'm running out. I'll have to get some more. I have it stored. I'm going to pick it up. See, when you have all the basics sitting in the house, once you know, you don't have to sit there and spend extra money. Now listen, we're all trying to make ends meet. But these were our skills that companies took away from us. A lot of the things that we used to do, that we had pride in, has been taken away from us. The same with men, because they don't. We need 3 teaspoons of baking powder. So making this baking powder, and it's working with everything I'm doing it, and it gets you away from the aluminum, which I am so happy about. It took me a while to figure it out. I got it. So they made everything. Once you have the basics, you can go in many different directions. It's just like men. If they know the basics of making furniture, just the basics, they can do a lot of repairs. If they know the basics of certain things, they can actually do it themselves. But they've taken all these skills away, and they say you have to go to a special school, you have to learn this, you have to learn that. And we're losing a lot of the skills that we have to depend upon the government and the schooling to teach us, when it wasn't that way before. All these things were handed down to us. And the young people are losing so much. A teaspoon of salt. No, because we got the cultures. Because I'm adding cultures to this, my sourdough, I know the microbes are in there. Yeah, I should put a tablespoon of wheat germ in this just in case. So we are losing a lot of our skills that we had. I remember when my grandmother was canning, and the chickens she killed, and things that Grandpa had to do. All these skills are lost. But what was weird was my grandmother was really good about killing, and the chickens ran to her all the time because she knew how to do it. My grandmother would call the chickens, get them ready to go feed. This was her thing. And as they were eating and eating and eating, she'd look for the older one or the one that she wanted, and she always stroked them when they were eating. So they were accustomed to her touching them and everything while they were eating. And she'd grab the one she wanted, go flip, break his neck, slide it in her arm, and continue feeding him and walk off. The bird never knew what hit him, or I should say her, and the other ones didn't know. It was just like it disappeared. She was very, very good at that. She didn't want the animals to suffer or anything else, but she wanted them to trust her. So she knew how to break their neck instantaneously, slide it under her arm, and just continue feeding the chickens, and the chickens were just eating. We lost all these skills. All right, we're gonna put 6 tablespoons of shortening in here. Oh, preheat your oven to 450. I am so sorry. I always have to look at mine because I always have something in mine. Okay. But a lot of our skills are lost, and we're losing them day by day. And if women say, I don't have time, of course you don't have time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're working. You're out working, making money. But that is set up to work outside the home to destroy the family. And it's hard for you to believe, but it's been set up very, very carefully. This. All right, we'll talk about nutrition now because this is really what it's about. I've been looking up for kidney disease, and it's a multitude, I mean a multitude of factors that go into it. There's not one vitamin or mineral. It seems like all of the nutrients are needed to help the kidneys work and the bladder. Now, I do know that if, and this happens to women who, it used not to happen to young women after they had children. It didn't happen at all. But the thing is now as people get older, women sneeze or walk, they can't hold their bladder. And now it's starting to happen to men as well. And they can call it a shield. What you're wearing is a bloody diaper. Let's put it out there. That's exactly what it is. Now, what causes your bladder to lose that tone? Remember when I talked about robbing Peter to pay Paul? That's exactly what it is. The heart is more important than the bladder. The liver is more important than the bladder. Certain organs are more important than other organs, and so they shut it down. Or they don't give the nutrients to that because you're not getting enough. But if you eat enough protein, you have more bladder control. I did the experiment on myself to see if it would work. So for about a week, I really cut down low on my protein. I really cut low down on my protein just to see what would happen. And sure enough, I could not make it from the kitchen to the bathroom. I increased my protein and I could do it. So I know that if you're incontinent when it comes to that, you're probably missing protein. But how to get the kidneys functioning again? I mean, it's like they say B6, then they go B1, then they go the mineral this, and then they sit there and say you need this, and then you need that, and it's just like an ongoing thing. So it's not one nutrient, it's like it needs everything to function. So if you have been, let's say, not eating your best and doing what you want and eating what you want, it's going to catch up to you. But if you've been eating well and you're finding that you're having a little hard time making it to the bathroom and holding your bladder, this comes from loss of protein. Just increase your protein and keep it up and you'll notice in a short time, I'm not going to give you time limit with me because I only cut it out for a short time. I got back and I was fine. The thing is that if you've gone a long time with this, it's going to take longer because you've lost too much. So your body, before it gets to the bladder, it's going to probably do other organs that are lacking in protein before they get there. But if you're just lacking a little bit in protein and it's just starting to happen, you should be able to correct it. But you'll have to make sure you cover your protein every day. Oh, I'm not even showing you what I'm doing. I am so sorry I'm talking to you. What I did was I added all the dry ingredients. I put the shortening in, and then I'm cutting the shortening in until it's flaky like this. I do apologize. All right, now they state here, and this is where we're really changing the recipe a lot, is they want 2/3 a cup of buttermilk. I'm not using that. I'm going to stir this down because I have to feed them. I almost forgot to feed them yesterday. This is my sponge culture. You see, I really don't have much. It was rising. I'm going to put 1/3 of a cup of my sponge culture, and it's very strong in smell. So I'm really happy about that because it's got a nice sour smell. It's going to help to enhance the buttermilk. God, it smells good. I love the smell of bread. Okay, now I'm going to add milk. I've got 1/3 cup here of sourdough, my sponge culture, and I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup of buttermilk. So this is really just going to bring up the sourness more. Now you're going to take a fork and mix this together. And because these are buttermilk biscuits, you notice I'm not using baking soda. I'm using the baking powder that I made. And because I added wheat germ, I'm putting a well in the middle. Now, if this is too dry, add a little more of your sourdough culture to it. You won't know because I use the sponge culture. It's a drier culture, whereas the liquid one is more of a liquid texture. That's why I call it the liquid culture. So, now we'll see how this works out. So if it's a little dry, we're going to be adding a little more. This is where we have to adjust it because the liquid culture is really thin at a ratio that it can mix well, but when you use the sponge culture, sometimes you have to add a little more if it's not moist to the point where it has to be. So we'll find out in a minute if it is. But you do not have to use baking soda with buttermilk to make your biscuits. If you make your own baking powder, you can bypass that baking powder in the store that has aluminum, and you can make your own and get away from the aluminum because they don't know what it's doing. But we do know, since they've been adding chemicals, Alzheimer's and other thing, and they've added these chemicals in our food, cancer and everything else is going on. So something is going terribly wrong, and you have to take control. It's your choice. Like I say, when I go shopping, it's like going through a minefield. I don't feel safe. I have to be careful. I have to read everything. It's hard. If I don't know what it is, I almost bought a cake mix just to look up all the terminologies and what's really in it and tell you what was it. I didn't believe I was going to buy it. I know my sons would have had kittens and said, "Why are you buying this, Mommy?" But I wanted to tell the people what's in it and actually explain exactly what's in here. Okay. But I don't have the money to waste on it, and I can't stand in the store. If they see me doing that, I think I'll be thrown out of the store, standing there with a box of that with my phone doing research. You see, I didn't put much flour on my work area. Now this should have a nice sourness. Now I don't really need this, I'm sort of balling it up. And we'll see how this comes out. Now the flavor should be more of a sour taste behind the buttermilk, which is, people used to call it sour milk. I'm going to pat this down to about 3/4 of an inch. I should get a cookie sheet out too while I'm at it. Okay, I'm using a 2-inch biscuit cutter. We'll see how these come out. See, just figuring out different ways we can use our culture of the sourdough, and I have 3 of them going. I also have a buttermilk culture going. I have a yogurt culture going. I have my cultures in my refrigerator. We'll see how these come out. Look like they're going to hold together pretty good. It's going to make 12, which is more than enough for the dish I want to make. Now I just found out one of my sons is going to be home today, so I love doing this. See, I pack it in and then I flatten the top. You see that? Sometimes it doesn't come out though. You have to help it out. And then it looks like they're the same size as the others. That's not up to 450 yet, so you have to wait a bit. So I did try to look up and see what I could find about kidneys and stuff to help people, but if you have a problem holding your bladder, you're missing protein. when you hurt your back and you damage the nerves that go to the bladder, what has to be repaired are those nerves. The problem is that they don't know enough in nutrition to do that. They always go chemically or something, but I think they should try to go nutritionally and see what's missing and what one nutrient and another, and how they work together to help, you know, in that aspect. That's me thinking naturally. Well, the sun's up now. I get up and the sun is down. I'm actually looking forward to autumn, believe it or not. I'll be out there raking and having a ball. My weeds are like, my son mowed down my weeds. They were about this big. I tell you, my weeds are healthy. Okay, so I'll see you when the biscuits are done. Remember, they're gonna cook anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes. Okay, the biscuits are done. Let me show you them. Here they are. We'll get a plate and see how the yeast affected this buttermilk. Because remember, if you drink buttermilk, you know buttermilk has a sour taste too. It's not sour milk. Sour milk you cannot drink. Buttermilk's a little different. Now, sour milk people say you can cook with, but do not drink it. Okay, I'll get one. I'm not hungry this morning. I'm gonna have to eat a biscuit. Okay, here's the bottom. We did not burn it, and you can see the top, and we've got a nice lift on it. Very hot. Let me get the rest of them over here. And I'm gonna serve these with chipped beef today. I'm gonna serve asparagus too next to it. I'm not gonna do anything special with the asparagus. I'm just gonna put it in a little bit of water. But I'll show you. They never cut these because they're very tender. So what you do is you take it, gently hold it, and you break them. That's how. Then you look in the inside for the texture. This looks like a good texture. It looks like it's just done. In other words, I didn't overcook it. Also looks like the yeast is going to give it more of a moist taste. I am not hungry. You don't know how hard it is to eat when you're not hungry. When I'm hungry, like I said, yes, I made those pecan, sweet potato, biscuits. I gorged on 3 of them. I took 1 bite and that was it. I put 3 on the plate and I took off. These are lighter than any biscuit you've ever had. The buttermilk went well with the sourdough culture. And you can smell the yeast. I'm not going to lie, you can smell the sourdough in it. So there is a sour smell to it. And then you have that buttermilk tang underneath the biscuit. So you have a nice combination. Gosh darn, they're really flaky. I'm not hungry, but I'm definitely going to be eating this biscuit because it tastes good. Listen, take care, and I'll see you in the next video, because I don't think you want to stand here watching me get everything together, which I'm always forgetting something that I need. And I'll show you how I make chipped beef. So I'll see you in the next one.